Are you tired of seeing the same old boring vanilla planets over and over again? If that's the case, then this mod might be just for you. I'm Michael and today we're gonna take a closer look at the Planetary Diversity mod by Gatekeeper. Now before we start the video, most of my viewers are not subscribed and we are trying to reach 100 subscribers on this channel by the end of this year. So if you'd like to see more videos like this on my channel, please subscribe and like the video. Now, moving on. Planetary Diversity adds over 50 new habitable planet types, all of them represent different environments and ecosystems. You'll find lush megaflora worlds with giant trees, scorching hot dune worlds, planets covered in glaciers, and many more. This mod is an absolute must-have and opens up so many new possibilities for roleplay and empire creation. It makes the game a lot more enjoyable and diverse, and it's a great mod overall, yeah. Now, the way this mod works is relatively simple. It changes existing vanilla planets to newly added ones. For example, each continental world has a chance to become a continental, retinal, forest, lake, tepid, superhabitable or megaflora world, etc. Some worlds are less likely to appear, and these rare worlds also have special buildings, jobs and modifiers. For instance, bioluminescent worlds boost your consumer goods, food and society research production, and on their surface you can build a biolumin nature preserve, a building which grants you 6 bioluminescent jungle ranger jobs, which produce society research and unity. Rare worlds also have different terraforming mechanics. They cannot be terraformed into regular planets, however they can be turned into Gaia aquatic, machine or hive worlds. Tidally locked planets have special barren worlds that can be terraformed into the mentioned planet types. All possible terraformable worlds have special modifiers. You can check them in the expansion planner and see if a specific planet can be terraformed into a rare world. Besides all of this, the mod adds many different things such as a new world dedicated only to empires with necrocivics or necrophage. The necro world is a planet covered by tombs and sarcophagus-like structures. You can turn regular planets into these, and you can do it in two ways. First, you can upgrade the planet necromancing building to level 3, or if you have the Colossus Project Ascension perk, you can equip your Colossus with the Planet Necrosis Beam, which turns habitable planets into necro worlds. 12 new uninhabitable planet types. Dry and cold Gaia worlds, they function exactly like regular Gaia worlds, except they have their own separate artwork, and if you're lucky enough, you can find them in your playthrough. And you also get 3 new origins to play with. Aquatic Paradise, you start on a size 30 aquatic world with bonuses to happiness, pop growth and resource output. This origin is especially great for roleplay purposes if you want to play as an Atlantis-themed civilization or something similar. And I'm actually doing a playthrough using this origin right now on my channel, so if you're interested you can check out my modded roleplay series as well. We also have the Megaflora Tree of Life origin, only available to hive minds. You start on a megaflora world with the Tree of Life planetary feature. Without it your hive can't survive, that's why every time you colonize a new planet a Tree of Life sapling will appear, and after 20 to 40 years it will fully mature and change the planet to suit your needs. And last but not least, the Infecting Hive origin. Your civilization begins on a hive world which became a part of the hive's existence, and every time you colonize a planet it will slowly turn into an infested world and join a hive mind's consciousness. Now, we covered the main mod, however, Planetary Diversity also has its own submods which add more planets and other cool features. First, we're gonna talk about the Exotic submod, which in my opinion is one of the most interesting out of all of them, since it adds 6 new planets with very exotic environments to the game, which allows you to create some very unique and outlandish alien species. In order to play with them you'll need to pick specific origins, and each world has its own distinct character and terraforming mechanics. Up first, we have radiotropic worlds. On their surface you'll find very high radiation levels, and all local lifeforms that live on them have been altered by the constant radiation exposure. If you choose to start on this planet, your species will gain the radiotropic mutants trait, which gives you some benefits on radiotropic worlds, but at the same time, it decreases your pop output and growth speed on other planets. On radiotropic worlds, you'll find a new rare resource, rat bloom spores. These spores can be obtained by placing rat bloom farms, and they will come in handy once you start terraforming. In order to terraform any habitable planet into a radiotropic world, you'll need to spend 1000 rat bloom spores. Once the process is over, a young rat bloom cluster will appear on your colony, which can be upgraded using the accelerated rat bloom growth decision, and with it you'll be able to harvest rat bloom spores on the planet. Next we have acid worlds with giant acid oceans and rivers. Due to the acid present in the waters of this world, this planet is very mineral rich, and life forms that have adapted to this environment can grow at alarming rates. However, this is a double-edged sword because robots will have a very hard time living there. Your robot assembly speed will be reduced by half, and due to acidic rain, robot output is reduced by 100%. Luckily, there is a solution to that problem. With the acid rain removal technology, you can remove the acid rain blocker, and without it your robot pops should now be able to produce resources for you. You can also build experimental chemical labs on those planets, which study the local chemicals and give you some engineering and society research. Now this time the process of terraforming is a bit different. In order to terraform a habitable planet into an acid world, you will need to place the acid seeders building, and after you upgrade it, the terraforming process will be done. Ammonia worlds are planets with nitrogen-ammonia atmospheres. Their atmospheric pressure is much higher than on regular terrestrial planets, which makes the ammonia hydrosphere stable. Vast ammonia oceans are present on their surface, and if you build the electrodeposition center, you can acquire alloys and minerals from them. Due to the extraordinary conditions present on ammonia worlds, you'll need special environmental suits to inhabit other planets. After you research the ammonia environment suits technology, a new special project will appear. After you finish it, your species will gain the ammonia environment suit first generation trait. It increases your habitability on non-ammonia planets by 40% at the cost of your pop happiness and amenities. There are 3 tiers of environmental suits, and with each tier your habitability on non-ammonia worlds increases. They require less upkeep and overall they are more comfortable to wear. After you research climate restoration, you'll be able to pick the toxic filtering ascension perk, which allows you to terraform toxic worlds with terraforming modifiers into habitable ammonia worlds. Sulfur worlds are filled with sulfur hot springs due to high volcanic activity. That's why these planets have a new district type, sulfur spring districts. They are similar to energy districts except they also produce trade value and amenities. Once you research the sulfur spring onsen tech, you will unlock the artificial sulfur spring onsen building, which you can place on your colonies that are not sulfur worlds in order to provide places for a population to rejuvenate. For terraforming you won't need any special buildings or resources. You get an ascension perk which allows you to terraform toxic worlds with terraforming modifiers and habitable planets into sulfur worlds. Ash worlds are very similar to Mustafar. They are very geologically unstable. They have active volcanoes, magma lakes and lava rivers. Due to the lack of geological stability, they have plenty of minerals and are great for energy generation. You can also exploit local magma lakes for alloy production by building the magma mine. Right after you unlock the tectonic fissuring technology, which is available right at the start of the game, you'll be able to use the tectonic fissuring decision on habitable planets. After that, a new deposit called tectonic fissures will appear, which improves your habitability on the planet. It also allows you to start terraforming your colony into an ash world. In order to make the planet even more habitable, you can build the tectonic drill, which gives you additional 20% habitability. You can upgrade this building even further once you research ecological adaptation, and if you do so, then congratulations, your colony has been fully terraformed into an ash world. And last but not least, we have methane worlds. They are a complete opposite of ash worlds, as they are very cold with temperatures reaching -180 Celsius. Their atmosphere is very methane rich, and on their surface you'll find many ice formations, which you can exploit to harvest frozen exotic gases with the frozen gas mine. What's really cool about this world is their unique terraforming process. After you pick advanced methane cryogenics ascension perk, you will be able to terraform frozen worlds with terraforming modifiers into methane worlds, and if you have the Colossus Project ascension perk, you will get a new Colossus weapon, the methane cryogenic ray, which allows you to freeze habitable planets using cryogenic energy and terraform them into methane worlds. If you thought that we are done with new planet types, then you were wrong. The unique world submod adds new very rare planet types to the game, with only one of each appearing in a large galaxy. All of them have their own unique quirks and characteristics, and some of them even have their own pre-written stories. You'll need to pick specific origins to play with these, and if you're lucky enough you can find those planets in your playthrough. However, you have to be careful as they are guarded by hostile entities. The strip mine is one of the newest planets added by this submod. It is basically a planet whose surface has been stripped away to harvest Zro. The Uplifted by Zro origin tells a story of a primitive slave race, brought over to the planet to harvest Zro for their masters. With their masters long gone, the constant exposure to Zro has uplifted them, however they also became addicted to it, and that's why you will receive the Zro Uplifted trait, which gives you some benefits on your homeworld or planets with the Zro Dispensary, a building that gives Zro vendor jobs which distribute Zro to the masses. You can also continue to mine Zro on the planet with the Zro Harvester building. Aside from that, Zro now has some different applications. You can use it for free new edicts or to construct new buildings. Next we have the Techno-Organic World, which is also a very interesting planet. It has an advanced irrigation system which spans its entire surface and is a blend of organic and synthetic elements. A rogue AI Unit 4 resides on this planet, and if you choose to start on it, the mentioned AI will watch over you throughout the game and give you some technologies from time to time. Your species will also become a hybrid of biological and synthetic life just like the planet, and because of that your leaders will be immortal. However, there are also some disadvantages. You can't biologically reproduce, be genetically modified, and you will also need techno cauldrons to assemble new pops. This new building uses living metal to construct new pops and can only sustain 25 biosynth pops. Now you might be wondering, how am I supposed to get all of this living metal to sustain the cauldrons? Well, you don't have to worry about that because like I said earlier, your creator Unit 4 will provide you with two technologies, living metal and subsurface assembly utilization, which unlocks the subsurface cauldron, a new building which produces living metal and some engineering research. After you unlock the ability to exploit strategic resources, Unit 4 will grant you the technology to create living metal via the living metal factory, which produces 3 living metal units. You can also unlock 2 additional buildings, the Techno Canal system and the synthetic creature cauldron, and you're also able to use 3 new edicts. And as a biosynthetic species, you can also pick your own ascension path. The biosynthetic perfection ascension perk allows you to reach your full biosynthetic potential, and it gives your species a better version of the biosynthetic trait and new traits for all of your leaders. The Crucible is more of a moon than a planet really. It spawns as a shielded world, and once you finish the Sparks Below archaeological site about the Rusnard Empire and their fight against the United Liberation Alliance, you'll be able to remove the shield with a special project. After you finish it, the Crucible will be revealed, and you'll be able to colonize it. It's an artificially molten world with giant floating islands hovering midair and huge furnaces along the equator. It also has its own unique districts such as leisure districts and forge districts, which produce 20 alloys each. After you colonize the Crucible, you can infuse it with Zro to increase the alloy and engineering research production. It also changes its hue to this lovely purple, which I think looks pretty cool. The Archive is also not a planet, instead it's a giant purpose-built moon-shaped supercomputer, which means it's a perfect candidate for a research-focused planet. It also has its own unique districts. On this world you can find the Archive Memory Core Relic. Once you activate it, you will get 25% tech progress in a random technology, which makes it really useful, and it also increases your research speed by 5% all the time. If you have the Archive of the Arcan's origin, you own the relic from the start of the game, and if you don't, you can get it from the Archive Habitat archaeological site, which gives you some information about the backstory of the Archive and the Yarkans, the ancient civilization that created it. The Crystal World is a lush planet with giant crystal spikes all over its surface and huge crystal deposits. On its surface you can find a new special resource, Asian crystals. In order to obtain these crystals, you have to build the Asian Carving Center. Once you acquired a decent amount of them, you can build the Asian Farm, which increases your food production from jobs by 20% and biological pop growth speed by 10%. Or you can also build the Asian Mineral Patch, which provides you with some rare crystals and minerals. Aside from buildings, you can use 3 new special edicts, which boost your pop growth speed, food and minerals output. The floating world has many giant floating islands hovering in midair. On it you can find a mysterious gravity-defying resource called the Eludium ore, which can be mined with Eludium refineries. Just like with all the other special resources added by this submod, it can be used for new buildings and activating edicts. You can also create artificial floating islands with it, which I think is really useful, especially on small colonies. And finally, the last world added by this submod is the Tiyanki Graveyard, a place where Tiyanki whales end their lives and their remains can be found scattered throughout the entire planet. A new rare resource can also be obtained from them, and Tiyanki parts have all sorts of different applications. Before you colonize the graveyard, an event will pop up, which will allow you to decide if you want to allow the Tiyanki to fall on your colony and gather resources from them, refuse to desecrate their corpses and focus on research instead, or forbid them from entering your colony whatsoever. If you have chosen the first or third option, you can obtain Tiyanki parts by placing the Tiyanki Butcher building, which produces 4 Tiyanki parts. And you can also build the Tiyanki Research Center, which boosts your research speed and society research production on the planet. Or you can also build the Tiyanki Parts Market, which increases your trade value. Now, if you have chosen the second option, you get 2 buildings which instead use exotic gases. The Tiyanki Observation Headquarters increase your research speed by 10% and increase your society and unity production from jobs by 20%. The Tiyanki Observation Lab is a similar building, except it only increases your society research and unity production from jobs by 10%. Shroud worlds have also been overhauled. 4 of these can be found in the galaxy, each of them touched by one of the 4 patrons. If you pick the Transcendence Ascension perk, you'll be able to terraform habitable planets into Shroud worlds using Zrow. You can also pick a new origin, Shroud Touched. You start on a Shroud world with psionic theory already researched, and at the start of the game you can dedicate your capital to one of the 4 patrons, and they all provide different bonuses to your empire. Besides new planets, you also get new arcology types. You're now able to build 2 additional arcology types, the Fortress Arcology and the Eco Arcology. The first one is essentially a giant military stronghold. Once you build it, a new blocker will appear in Planetary Features, the Military Testing Zone, which decreases the orbital bombardment damage and gives you 18 additional storage jobs at the expense of 3 district slots. The Eco Arcology is similar to a regular one, except it's more eco-friendly, which means that in order to build it, you have to demolish your industrial districts as well. Once you finish the project, a new blocker will also appear. However, this time you will get bonuses to unity production, some amenities, and 18 park ranger jobs. There is also a special arcology type only for megacorps. Corpo arcologies are giant trading hubs and office complexes. Once you build one of these, a new blocker, the Corporate Entertainment Zone, will appear, which gives you bonuses to trade value, unity production, and some entertainer and manager jobs. Once you're done with turning your colony into an ecumenopolis, a new decision will appear, which allows you to build the Grand Legislative Hall, or the Grand Palace Fortress if you're a dictatorial or imperial nation. Megacorps have their own special capital building, the Grand Boardroom. If your empire has the Transcendence Ascension perk, you'll also be able to build the Shroud Temple Zone. And if you have any Necroid civics or origins, you also get to build the Necro Cemetery Zone. If you have the exotic submod enabled, Arcologies will have different skins on exotic planets, and there are also similar Arcology variants for machine empires. Now that we're done with Arcologies, let's move on to habitats. Because Planetary Diversity also adds new habitat types which can be built on different celestial bodies. They all work just like regular habitats, and they can be built using construction ships. Asteroid and barren habitats can be built at the start of the game. Frozen and molten habitats require an early game technology. You can also build habitats on gas giants, hothouse worlds, and toxic planets. Some planetary objects have rare modifiers, which add extra districts if you build a habitat on their surface. You also get to play with 2 new origins. The first one gives your empire 2 habitats, one on your homeworld's moon and a second one on a random barren world. The second one causes your homeworld to go through an ice age, which makes it completely inhospitable. You'll find 3 blockers on your homeworld that decrease your habitability and the total number of districts. They also can't be removed, which makes the planet completely useless. That's why you start with a barren habitat, a modest resource stockpile, and a colony ship already built for you to colonize new planets and resettle your pops. I also recommend using the Reworked Habitability submod, because it massively overhauls the habitability preference modifiers, and it makes them more fair in my opinion. There's also a bunch of cosmetic submods that replace vanilla artwork with new ones. Overall, Planetary Diversity is a fantastic mod with amazing visuals and very compelling concepts and stories, and every single month new interesting plants are being added, so go check out the mod on the Steam Workshop and subscribe if you haven't already. I also want to thank Gatekeeper for allowing me to use the in-game planet art, and I will also leave a link to his page here, and all of the money goes for commissioning new plant art, which also means more plants added to the mod. So if you like Planetary Diversity, go and leave a donation. Also go and check out the artist which he commissions, he's very talented and makes some very stunning artwork. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. This is the first time I'm making a video like this, so if you have any advice or if you want me to cover a specific mod, leave your suggestions down in the comments. I will see you soon in another video, so yeah, goodbye.